Welcome in everybody to Play Like a Jet Live. Luke and Clay are back with you again. And we've just seen the very last day of training camp, Clay. It's in the books. Next stop is the last preseason game and then the season. Guys, thanks for joining us again. We're with you, Stadium, as always. Make sure you do everything you can to support the channel. We've got super stickers. You can make donations on Venmo. Do everything you can so we can bring you the best product possible and cover the New York Jets. Guys, make sure you're following U Stadium on Twitter and Instagram, as well as myself and Clay. Make sure you're supporting the whole team, including Scott from Play Like a Jet. Do all those things. But without any further ado, Clay, I wanted to jump into some not so good news to start, and that's the number of injuries that have just come into it. Before I do that, though, I want to welcome in our special guest. We were going to have him on last week. We had a bit of a time difference issue, but DJ Bien-Aime, who's the beat reporter for the New York Daily News. DJ, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you taking some time out of your day.
No problem. Yeah, last week, man, it was it was a lot going on in Green Bay, man.
It's been a busy couple of days for the Jets. DJ, we wanted to hit on the injuries to start with. There's been some not so good news really for the last week. Obviously started in Green Bay with the Carl Lawson injuries. The newest one was Mekhi Becton, obviously in the concussion protocol now. What can you tell us about that? I know Robert Saleh touched on it after the practice today.
Yeah, he's in a concussion protocol, but if I'm being honest, I don't think it's going to be anything that lingers too much. I mean, it was kind of odd that he did throw up, but I don't think it's anything that we need to be overly concerned. Like if it was something where, where there's been times where like a guy gets like decleated, knocked off his feet, lands on his head, that's when, you can be a little bit more cautious and like, oh, snap. But this, I mean, I still expect him to play week 1 against the Panthers.
Clay, you made a great point. At least he has that 2.5 week with the extra week after the Eagles game.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully he doesn't have to rush to get back onto the field. I mean, we've already gone through enough injuries on the defensive side. We don't need to lose our starting left tackle, especially with Alijah Vera-Tucker just coming back from injury. We just want to see those two guys play together on the field. And since we do have that week off, we'll have 2.5 weeks before we actually before he has to actually get back onto the field.
Yeah, another piece of bad news. There was a little confusion yesterday with what Vinny Curry and how much he'd be out for the length of period, but he revealed today that he has blood clots after his spleen injury. So, DJ, it's just another blow to this Jets defensive line group that was the strength of the team. First of all, touch on the Vinny Curry injury. What do you think the Jets do now to overcome his and Lawson's injuries?
So I think it's like a conflicting battle between Robert Saleh and the front office. Like Robert Saleh, if it's up to him, he's gonna go into the season with the guys right now. Like Robert Saleh is big on developing young guys and going from there. Joe Douglas is thinking like we still gotta add more talent. We're losing this, we're losing that, we're losing players, so we need to replace those players. And Robert's like, man, the guys that we got is good enough. So, and I want to develop those guys. Like Robert, one thing that's pretty obvious, Robert is big on developing players and coaching guys up. You know what I'm saying? So like when we asked him today, he was like, I mean, I'm good rolling with the guys that we have now. But Joe and the front office, they're gonna do what they have to do to see for the best interest of the team. So I mean, I think they will eventually bring somebody in. Not sure who, because you lose Vinny, you lose Carl, you lose Ronald. You know what I mean? Like you're losing people at the edge spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, you still got Rashad out of Oregon State. You still got Bryce Huff. You still got John Franklin Myers. But you're gonna need to add more people to back those guys up. You know what I mean? So I do think eventually they'll go and they'll add somebody just for depth purposes. But I don't know who, because like from my perspective, there's nobody out there that's gonna move the needle. I know people have mentioned Chandler Jones. It's just not getting Chandler. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not happening.
Yeah.
So,
to be honest, I just don't know if there's anyone worth trading for at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably get nothing flashy, but you can probably get a solid player, like a rotational piece from these big cuts. Like, there's about to be 30 players released from each team. Like, there's got to be one guy that kind of sparks your interest, you'd think, right?
Yeah.
I've been joking. Sorry, DJ, go ahead.
No, I say 110% agree.
I've been joking with one of my friends, Clay, that this could be the year we finally see Dante Fowler in a Jets uniform. That rumor has been on Twitter for the last 17 years about the Jets and Dante Fowler. So we'll see what happens. But the only reason I would look to add an edge player is just because I want to be able to evaluate the corner group in some capacity. This corner group is very raw. They're very inexperienced, and they don't have a ton of talent. It's going to be a real tough season for them. And I wonder how true an evaluation Douglas and Salah will be able to get of that group without a dominant to above average front four. Another injury on defense, guys, was Gerard Davis. 6 weeks he's going to miss with his leg injury. Clay, did you think this was a big blow for the team, or are you kind of, happy is the wrong word, but you excited to see what both Nasruddin, assuming he starts at the Will spot, and then also Sherwood can do at the Sam spot? What do you think of the injury and what this means for the Jets defense?
I think it's a big blow, not necessarily for the type of player that Gerard Davis is, because obviously he wasn't great with the Lions, and this is his first year in this system. But it's the fact that we already had no bodies at linebacker. And now that they're losing Gerard Davis, who was a starter, you're going to throw 2 rookies in the I don't know how often we're actually going to be in a 4-3 defense. I feel like we'll mostly play nickel. But now that like 2 rookies are 2 of the top 3 linebackers on the team, you got Blake Cashman, who's never healthy either. So I think that's what the big blow is. We're already losing a body, and I feel like if you think about it, like our top 5 linebackers are all injury prone.
Yeah,
CJ Mosley, Cashman, Davis, Nasruddin. Obviously, he had a huge injury in college. Sherwood seems like the only one that's been relatively healthy the last couple of years. So I think that's what the biggest blow is. But I think you're right. It is exciting to see the young guys step up in this defense. So we're going to have 2 starting linebackers. Who knows what's going to happen at cornerback? And granted, all of them are in their third year or less. And then we can potentially see. I hope I'm saying his name right. Hamilcar Rashid. Is it Rashid? Rashid.
Yeah. No, Rashid.
Rashid.
Yeah,
No, Hamilcar Rashid.
No, Rashad.
Rashad. Okay, and Bryce Huff. Like those 2 can be on the field at the same time at this upcoming year, especially with all the injuries that you alluded to earlier. So it is exciting to see all these young guys, but you also want to see this team at full strength just to kind of get a grip on like what you actually have on your roster.
Yeah, for sure. DJ, before we move into the joint practices, I know it was pretty hot at Florham Park the last couple of days. We wanted to quickly recap on the Green Bay game. We had a post-game show a couple of days ago, but wanted to touch on that one more time. DJ, what were your overarching thoughts about Zach Wilson? He was very efficient again, 9 of 11, had the nice yards per attempt. For me, I like that he's winning on money downs, talking third down and red zone. He looks comfortable in the pocket. What stood out to you about Zach Wilson's performance?
Yeah, I mean, the day of the game, watching it, I was extremely impressed. Obviously, he made a bunch of throws on third. You talk about money downs. Hit Corey on the third down. Obviously had the highlight throw. Hit Crawford a touchdown on the seam route. In the red zone. So he was extremely efficient. Obviously, threw 2 touchdowns. And then I watched the film because in my head I was like, okay, like watching the game. Like for me, I watch O-line, D-line. Like I pay attention to that more. And then I just pay attention to what happens after. Sometimes I'm able to catch the back end. I just saw a comment. I'm like, ignore it. But yeah, I catch the back end. Afterwards, sometimes I can catch it. But once I dived into the film in 22, I just realized that like he had a lot of easy throws and he just capitalized on that. And you can't punish him for that. You know what I'm saying? Like he did what he had to do. He executed. He was efficient, accurate, showed off the arm talent. So regardless of what we saw on film, where there were dudes open or where you had even to throw to Corey, like the Packers were in quarters and they both, the safety and the corner, jumped to the post when one of them was supposed to be on the wheel. I think the outside corner was supposed to be on the wheel, and he obviously messed that up, which allowed Zach to roll around and still hit Corey Davis. But again, and then even on that drag route where Corey was by himself, they obviously in robbery and they didn't communicate well what they were doing. That's not Zach's problem. At the end of the day, that's not Zach's problem. And he executed. And he did what he had to do. And one thing that's been evident throughout training camp, that talent's there. So like Jet fans don't have to worry about talent questions. It's gonna come down to how the Jets build around him and how he develops. Because the talent's there, the arm talent's there. The velocity is fantastic. Obviously, when I saw Aaron Rodgers, that was otherworldly. But That's Aaron Rodgers. You feel me? And yeah. So those are my impressions. That he did what he had to do. He put up good numbers. He was efficient, accurate, and showed off that talent. Which in preseason for me, all I truly want to see are your traits. That's why I'm very high on Brandon Echols. Cause I like his traits, which is why I was high on Carl Lawson, high on Elijah Moore, because their traits, I know those are things that can, develop into either being good players, star players, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So, so all in all, granted, it was against the twos, and that has to be acknowledged. The talent is there, and you have to give credit where credit's due.
A group who didn't show the talent was the defensive starters. They were incredibly poor. I know they were missing a couple of pieces up front, Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, but overarchingly, they were really bad against the Packers' third-string quarterback. I'm glad you mentioned Brandon Echols because, DJ, I had a question about him. Obviously, we saw Isaiah Dunn start for the Jets on the outside, which surprised me. And I think part of that may have been because he didn't play the week before. Were you kind of shocked by that decision from Saleh to start him over Echols?
So the Jets like Dunn a lot. They I don't know why they didn't draft him, but they like him a lot.
Didn't they have a 4th-round grade on him?
I don't know what grade if they had a 4th-round grade, they would have drafted.
Well, yeah,
if you got a 4th-round grade on somebody, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna draft them.
Yeah, that's what you would think, especially when you have 6 picks in the 5th and 6th rounds combined. Yeah, but maybe they had 4th-round grades on all of them. I don't know.
Exactly, but I know they like him a lot. They like him a lot, and he, obviously he hasn't been as good as he was in OTAs, but he's still been solid. His problem is like he'll have good coverage, but he'll just get beat at the last second. Like I know y'all remember on that 4th down play, the receiver runs a slant route. Dunn is right there, but the quarterback puts the ball right where it needs to be, and he catches it. Or down on the back shoulder fade to Malik Taylor. Dunn is there, and then Malik Taylor is able to come down with it, and that's something that's always been evident in practice. Like Dunn will be right there, and then somebody will just make the play. But to answer your question, I was kind of surprised because he only had practice he only practiced a little bit that week. I mean, obviously he practiced joint practices, and it wasn't like he was going crazy out there. You know what I mean? Like he was doing all right. Granted, you're going against Devontae Adams and MVS. Like they have a really good receiving core. Amari Rogers, but they like him a lot, and I understand why I like him a lot. But I was kind of surprised that when Bless was out, they didn't just go with Echols because Echols has made more plays in camp. In my opinion, I do think that last spot's between Bless, Echols, and Dunn. And I think week 1, Bless is going to start, but I think he'll have a short hook. Cause I think Hall has that locked. He has that locked up. Not because Hall's been fantastic, but he's given up the least amount of plays throughout camp, so he has that locked. And you can see talent there, but I thought it would have been maybe Echols, especially with what's his name, so Bless not suiting up. Because again, as we've all seen, whether at practice or in games, Echols has made more plays, just whether it's catching an interception or the first game having the bat down when that wasn't even his assignment. I think they were in quarters, and I think they were supposed to switch because the outside receiver ran a post and the slot receiver ran it out, and they didn't communicate that the way that apparently Robert Saleh wanted that. Because I would think that one takes the post, one takes the out, but apparently as what we asked Robert, he said that wasn't his play to make, but he made it right. So I'm guessing that he was supposed to get on that deep out, and the safety was supposed to get that post. That's what I'm guessing, based off of just principles of cover 4 and what Robert Saleh said at the podium. And boom, he made that play. So I'm just I like it. I mean, I said on TV show, I think Echols is their most I think it's one as far as his most talented corner because he has a trait that none of them have, which is exceptional speed. He can run 4.3, he can run anybody down the field, and that is something that if you can hone that in and work on his technique, because he's still a raw athlete. He's not better than Bless yet. He's not better than Hall, but in terms of just pure talent and pure raw ability, the Jets might have something with him. And I would like to see him go out there first, but went out there with the second team defense, caught an interception. So Echols just make plays.
Do you think that the Jets are just kind of messing around with some things? Because I even noticed that they were putting Jeff Smith on the field before Keelan Cole. And obviously they really like Keelan Cole, and I think he'll be one of their starting receivers. But do you think they're just kind of messing around with some things to see, like, all right, who can actually compete with, I guess, higher level, even though they're playing backups?
That's a good point. That's a good question. So I think that to the Keelan Cole part, he hasn't been as good as he was in OTAs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's been kind of disappointing, which is why I tweeted the other day that they had to draft Elijah Moore. They saw now I won't say they saw the vision, but that pick looks so much smarter today than it does then. It looks smart then, but it looks like Albert Einstein now, because when I ain't gonna lie, Keelan Cole had he had a rough joint practice. Like, he just wasn't making that many plays, which is why you saw Jeff Smith out there.
Yeah.
So, like coaches, they say we do rotation. Y'all know football. Y'all know the receiver spot rotation. If you're not in that starting unit, yeah, you're going to get rotated in, but you're not going to get the amount of reps that you want. So, I was surprised that they put Jeff Smith out there. I thought it'd been Vincent or somebody else.
Yeah.
But they put Jeff. So that was interesting. But yeah, Keelan Cole hasn't played as well during camp. He's been fine. It's not like he's been like a bum or nothing. Like, nowhere near that. He's just been, for lack of a better term, a jag.
Yeah.
And then, so back to your original point about maybe just trying things out. Yeah, I can see that, which is why you give Jeff some reps out there, and which is why, you give Isaiah Dunn a rep, starting rep over Brandon Echols when Bless Austin's out there. Because again, they really want to coach these guys up, and they want to see what they have with certain dudes. So, yeah, that's my take on that.
Clay, do you agree with DJ that Bless is going to start? That's how it seems to me. One of our guests, Aaron, just commented below and asked the question: do you think Bless Austin starts, like DJ kind of alluded to?
Yeah, I think that's what they ultimately go with. Like Bryce Hall, like he said, he's got it locked in. He's got one of the outside corner spots locked, and I feel like we just got to go with what we've seen. Bless Austin has been playing with the starters. He's been practicing with the starters, whereas Echols and Dunn and these other guys are kind of just rotating in every now and again. I feel like it's just got to be Bless and then let whether it's his failures take him off the field or Echols or Dunn's success put him on the field. You just got to let that happen.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there. Let's go into.
No, I'll say completely agree.
Let's go into training camp. It wrapped up, DJ. Give us your overarching thoughts. We obviously have some follow-up questions, but I know you mentioned that you thought that Philadelphia looked, clearly cut the best team on the field the last 2 days. Tell us a little bit about what you saw, where they were better than us. Just give fans an overview who weren't there.
Yeah, because, here's the thing. Like, Philly's not going to be good this year, but they still got veterans on their team. So, if I'm being honest, I would rather be the Jets right now if they're rebuilding the Eagles. So, like, that kind of explains why they looked a little bit. Because you still got Fletcher Cox. You still got Brandon Graham. You still got, Lane. You still got Kelsey at center. So, like, they still have, like, veteran pieces. They still got Hurts.
Brandon
still
Brooks,
got Dallas.
Yeah.
So, like, they have a lot of young talent, but the Eagles have more proven talent, but they have more of a team that wants to win right now. But they just don't have enough pieces to win right now, which is eventually going to lead to an entire fire sale eventually. Remember, they still got Darius Slayton. Like, they still got some guys.
Yeah.
They're Slade. But yeah, so they just look like the better team at times. The trenches, they look stronger because again, they have more veteran guys. They have, I guess, more proven commodities. Zach looked like the better quarterback when things were protected. Jalen Hurts looked like the better playmaker. So I know I tweeted out that Devonta Smith caught a touchdown on what Bless Austin coverage. But basically, all it was during 2 minutes, Jalen Hurts didn't see anybody immediately. Rose left, waits, then throws a dart. It was a good pass, though. I give him that. Throws a dart. and then Devonta Smith catches it with kind of draped over him. And he made a good catch, good play, good coverage, but he made the play. So I just think that the Eagles just had better players, to be honest, and they looked like the better team those 2 days. But I think if they obviously gonna play again December 5th, still a coin flip. If my memory serves me correct, that one's at home, right? If it's at home, I think the Jets will still be favored. I think by that time, unless Jalen Hurts takes a jump, that aren't expecting, I think by that time the Jets will probably be playing their better ball, and the Eagles may be a little more flailing. So, so those kind of my thoughts. I think they just had they matched up better because they had a stronger offensive line to combat the Jets' defensive line, which gave their receivers more time to get open against the Jets' corners. So I think that's what helped. And then again, the injuries on the offensive line, you're rotating ABT in and out. That allowed their D-line to have more success. Granted, today the whole line was a lot better, but that gave their D-line more opportunity to have success. And during the 2-minute drills, they were able to, the Jets went 5 plays and they were done. And the Eagles, they were able to march down the field, both first team and second team, and score with ease. So those things you pay attention to. All right, because even if you ask fans that were there, they all conceded like, okay, the Eagles look better today and yesterday.
Yeah, speaking on that, so obviously I think Twitter made it well known that the Jets' offensive line had a rough Tuesday, but it seemed that they picked it up today. How concerned are you actually about their play in training camp and joint practices and stuff compared to when they're on the field? Because obviously weeks 1 and 2 of preseason, they've kept Zach Wilson clean. Granted, they are going against backups, as we have mentioned multiple times already. But how concerning is it for you for when they actually do go against starters in Carolina?
So scale 1 to 10 for me, I'm at a 5. So obviously, push the panic button to the max. I'm not ignoring it. I'm paying attention to it. Zach and Robert made very good points today that I had to keep in mind. Right? Zach made a really good point. He said, "Well, when we're in, let's say, when we're in third down period, we're not throwing the ball. We're not running the ball, so they know we're running. My bad. Then they know we're passing it.
Yeah.
So that's off. That's a very, very good point. Obviously, there's going to be games where it's going to be like that, where Zach's going to throw the ball a lot, and these lines off. So that may be an issue, but that's probably going to be an issue for most teams if the deep line knows that, hey, you're down, you got to score quickly. We're going to just tee off. So, he made a good point there. And then Robert Saleh said we haven't schemed to adjust for that, which lets you know that they know, which is why you can't completely dismiss it, because they know that it's not the best, which is why they mentioned that we would just have to scheme around it, which is why they're not too nervous, because they know they can scheme around it, which lets you know that, okay, that's something that they have to find a way to game plan around or game plan for. And obviously Michael Ford last week said it hasn't been the greatest. We haven't had the greatest pass protection. And then obviously alluded to Mekhi Becton. He's going through some things and then finished it off with, I still have the utmost confidence in him and his talent. So my concern level is like a 5. Obviously not panicking, obviously not ignoring, just down the middle. As I said, the preseason practice, the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. And we're going to see week 1 because the Panthers, they're going to have a good defensive line. You're going to have Reddick, you're going to have Brian Burns, you're going to have Brown from Auburn at D tackle. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Zach made a good point today where he said that I asked him, okay, so you mentioned play action. And he was like, yeah, when we go play action, that's going to get the defensive line off balance. That's going to get them flowing one way and we're going the opposite way. Misdirection, confusion, which is for the next time it's going to make them think. It's basically a chess match. I'm all right. That makes sense. So my only counterpoint, because obviously they want to run the ball, my only counterpoint to that is what happens when the D-line, when the Jets can't run the ball. Because obviously not every week going to be able to run the ball with ease. So once the team is like, all right, we're going to stop, we're going to make you one-dimensional, how do you react? Because Week 2 against the Patriots, we all know Bill Belichick's goal is to make you play left-handed. So they're going to take away the run. They'll figure it out. They're going to do everything in their power to take away the run. How to react to that. How are they going to handle third down situation, money downs. So that's where I am on the offensive line. Not panicking, not ignoring, keeping my eye on it, because at the end of the day, let's say they weren't having any issues, Zach was always clean in practice, I would say, all right, the O-line's going to look good this year. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I am.
Yeah, right. I think, DJ, you made a great point there. I just want to reconfirm what you said about just the team periods. And obviously you tweet out a lot about we're in a pass it period or in third down periods. They know what's coming. So it does definitely make them one-dimensional. I tweeted something out similar yesterday. And then also talking about the Rams. I know, look, Zach Wilson is far more talented arm-wise than Jared Goff. But you saw at the start of last year against Dallas that they played them in week 1 off the play action when the running game got going. They were fantastic. But then once that started to get taken away, you saw them struggle. Now, I think Zach Wilson can do more outside of structure, but I think that's something to definitely monitor.
Yep. No. Completely agree. Completely agree there. That's one thing that I'm like, all right. Me and Connor were talking about on the sideline. We're just like, it's going to really just come down to how to just build around Zach. He has the talent. He has all the tools. So it's going to just come down to that. As you alluded to, he can play outside of structure. Granted, what makes Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes so good is the fact that they don't have to do that. They're able to just pick you apart without having to do that. And then when there's situations where, things break down, they can then make a play out of that and keep a drive alive, which I do want to see, once the season come around, how often Zach is able to balance that in and out.
Yeah. And actually, sticking with that offensive line, obviously a huge part of that offensive line is Alijah Vera-Tucker. He came back to practice this week. Elijah Moore also came back to practice this week. They haven't even touched the field this preseason. So how did they look in the joint practices? And I know we probably won't see them on Friday night, as Robert Saleh alluded to. But do you think there's any possibility that they play?
I don't want them to play. I don't want Elijah
Moore at all. Neither do I.
Let the Panthers think. Let the Panthers guess. Let the Panthers, just read my articles about Elijah.
Get those clicks up.
How good Elijah Moore is. You feel me? Let them figure that out. Elijah. Obviously Elijah Moore scored a touchdown today, and obviously he caught a post corner, cooked Steven Nelson. Not to get a little bit off topic, but let's get a little off topic for a quick second.
I know where this is going.
Listen. That's why I always said, just roll with who y'all got, because he's just a name, and that's what he was. He's gonna be a starter this year, but that's what he was. But back to getting back on point. Obviously he scored a touchdown today during goal line, and which was one of the best pass blocking plays I've seen the Jets have. The entire team. They built a complete wall. Zach was able to go 1, 2, 3, and it was beautiful. It was gorgeous to watch. So Elijah Moore, no concerns there. Alijah Vera-Tucker, they had him run up the 1 and 2. I think they were just giving him a lot of reps. They eventually got back up there with the 1s. So I don't know how much Alijah Vera-Tucker fixes from a pass blocking standpoint. I don't know how much he fixes, because Mike is always on the edge for the most part, and a little bit on the interior. But I know he helps them from a run blocking standpoint, because Dan Feeney is.
You might as well put in Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World at this point.
I literally mentioned to one of the PR staff, I was just like, yo, y'all could have saved y'all money. Like, I'm being like, y'all could have saved y'all money. Bye. Saved y'all money. But yeah. So I'm obviously put him there. That's going to be an improvement. GBR has been okay during 2 preseason games. Obviously, Connor has been solid. Because even on that, I know y'all remember. I think they tried to run in like on 3rd and 1, or 3rd and 2. Packers, they get stuffed. Like on the 22, it seemed like GBR and Moses. No. They double teamed the right end, but they were on that. GBR was on that double team too long, which allowed that linebacker to come. the age gap because it was wide open. It was like when Moses parted wide open. He came through and that time. So that wasn't really much on Ty Johnson or anything like that. But I know when Alijah Vera-Tucker gets back out there, he'll be able to improve the run game because I know y'all have noticed too during the preseason games when they run outside when they run wide zone scheme, when they run outside the tackles, when they run through the C gaps, basically outside, they're able to run. They're able to run with success.
Yeah.
They try to run in between where things can get a little messy. So, yeah. So I mean, he looked fine. It's going to take some time to continue to ramp things back up. I mean, his first game actually going to be against the Panthers, and that's a really good D line. So we'll see. But again, the media saying was wait till week 1. Robert Saleh saying wait till week 1. So all these questions will be answered very soon.
I've got a question for both of you, and I was pondering this morning at 4:30 when I was up for a radio hit. Would you play Zach Wilson this week, given the fact that there's no Mekhi Becton and no Alijah Vera-Tucker? What's the worth in playing Wilson? Start with you, Clay. What do you reckon?
If I'm Robert Saleh, I mean, I know Zach is still a rookie and he still needs his reps, and that's probably the smart thing to do. But because we've already dealt with injuries, and I don't even want to take a chance. But that's just me I think that's me being a fan more so than anything else. I just don't want to see my guy get hurt and potentially go into a season without our quarterback because 2 of our starting linemen aren't even on the field. Am I freezing up?
No, you're good.
Okay. It was, my own screen was messing up. But I think me as a fan, I would say keep him off the field. But if I'm being the coach, I'm throwing him out there because he still needs the reps. He needs to get ready for week 1. And I think that's the most important thing.
What says you, DJ?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely agree with Clay. So with your offensive line concerns, Luke, I don't think you should be that concerned because main reason is it's gonna be the Eagles backups. So I think they'll be able to hold. And
backups again?
Yeah, of course. If I have Fant at left tackle, you're gonna have Morgan Moses at right tackle. So you'll be able to hold the fort down a little bit. And you have GVR, you'll have Feeney, so you'll be able to keep everything steady. Okay, again, get those reps, get ready for Carolina because it's gonna be a completely different monster. Because here's one thing I noticed during the joint practices that you don't see in preseason, that the coaches they really scheme up their blitz packages. Like there was times where I remember there was one play during the Packers joint practice. I think it was the first day where they had so many people on the defense on the line of scrimmage. And then they dropped everybody back, but then they sent a corner in. And when I mean Zach never saw him, when I mean Zach would have got destroyed, Zach would have got crushed, absolutely got crushed. I'm talking about did not see him at all. So and the same thing with Robert Saleh, he was able to do some of that through our practices too. So those blitz packages that the coaches are gonna implement and show week 1 is going to be a completely different monster. So keep building up that confidence, keep building, you know what I'm saying? And then let's continue to get that rep, continue to get that continuity with Corey, with Keenan, Jeff Smith, whoever it is, with Jameson, and let's just get ready for week 1.
All right. How I wanted to end this, guys, was looking at some guys that might be surprise cuts, especially at these position groups that are a little flooded. I wanted to start with wide receiver. So I think the Jets will carry 6 receivers. That's kind of my best guess. I think you're obviously going to see Keelan Colby on the roster, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, Crowder, Corey Davis. So that kind of leaves 3 guys fighting for one spot, I think, and that's Braxton Berrios, Jeff Smith, and Vincent Smith. If you were the Jets, DJ, start with you. Which one would you keep and which 2 would you cut?
I think you said which one would I keep or which 2?
Keep 1. Let's just keep 1. Let's go 6 receivers.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, on my pool roster, all the beat writers, we do a pool roster of the 53-man roster. I had Braxton Berrios, but I think there's a good chance it could be It might be Smith. Think about it. Smith has run.
Wait, which one?
No, so like I can't ignore that.
Yeah.
And I think he's a little bit more versatile because he can play inside and out. Not saying Braxton can't, but like Jeff can do more of it. So I think if I had to pick, I'd go Jeff.
And Keelan Cole could be the punt returner, which would solve that issue as well. Clay, what do you reckon out of those three guys, the Smith brothers, so to speak, and Braxton Berrios?
Yeah, I think Barrios just doesn't bring enough to where he's like solidified a spot. Yeah, he could be the punt returner, but as a receiver, he only plays slot. Like we kind of spoke about this last week. He only plays inside. He will never. We'll say he'll rarely play on the outside. Whereas the I know they're not brothers. Smith brothers, either one can play kind of inside or out. And they both play special teams as gunners too, which is really important. I mean, I know that doesn't get a lot of talk, but it is really important. And we saw Vincent Smith make an incredible play and week 1 of the preseason. So I think I'm going to go Vincent. But I mean, with Jeff Smith getting first team snaps in last week's preseason game, I mean, it could be him too. I mean, I think it's a flip of a coin, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be really intriguing. The other one I wanted to touch on, guys, is the corner spot.
Wait, before you go into that, What's your answer?
I think they'll keep Vincent Smith. I think what he's done on special teams as a gunner, I think his ability, like DJ said, to play inside and out, I think that gives him the slight leg up, even though I think most fans would think it's Braxton Berrios. I'm going to go with Vincent Smith. Talking about the corner group, I actually had, when I did my 53, the Jets carrying 8 corners. A little bit of that was because I had Ashton Davis off the roster to start with, and Hardy's obviously going to be playing special teams. A lot of rosters will carry 7, 8 linebackers, and they'll play special teams. The Jets don't have that luxury. Let's assume the Jets keep 7, and you've got Pinnock, Isaiah Dunn, and Eccles on the bubble, for example. Eccles is going to be safe. But let's say the Jets have to get rid of one of those 3 because they're carrying Hardy, both slot guys, Bless, Hall, and Eccles. Let's make it easy. Pinnock or Dunn, who would you keep, DJ?
You can't pin me against my 2 favorite. I mean, so we're not even including Lamar Jackson?
Well, I've already cut Lamar Jackson. He was gone yesterday for me.
All right, cool. I mean, if I had to pick, I mean, I'm always going to go with the upside, so I think I'm going to go Eccles, but I think they'll both be on the roster though.
Yeah. Do you think if it was Dunn or Pinnock though?
I would keep if I had to pick, I would keep Eccles over Dunn, but they're both going to be on the roster though, because they're very high on they're high on Dunn, and you know I'm always about action over words. And their actions showed me how high they are.
Yep.
What if it was between Dunn, Pinnock, and Lamar Jackson? Because you brought him up. Luke left him out. So it seems like you think they might be higher on Lamar than the fans are?
No, I don't. I think Jason Pinnock, I think he may be heading to the practice squad. It depends how many they keep. He might be headed to the practice squad. Because, I mean, again, as you said, like, you'll have, like, 8 corners. Right?
Yeah.
Like, he might be heading to practice squad. He just hasn't made that many plays. I mean, he hasn't like given up that many plays, but like, I mean, he's been running with the 3s throughout the entire camp.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like this has been. It's been for the most part Bryce, Bless, starters. 2s has been a rotation between Eccles, Lamar, Dunn. Just all depends what day it is. And then obviously you had that one day where the 2 days where Eccles and Dunn got some run with the 1s. Then and Jason's just been 3rd. Jason's basically been with Corey Valentine or with Lamar for the most part. For the most part, obviously they drafted Jason, so I don't think they'll get rid of him year 1. But I think he'll be he might be a candidate for a practice squad. But then again, you have to cut him to put him on practice squad.
Yeah. So
like that makes it a little difficult. I don't think obviously Dunn's not gonna get cut because actually, yeah, he's not gonna get cut. Cause they basically guaranteed his whole salary for the year.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick somebody that was like on the outside looking in, it'd probably be Lamar, but then he caught a pick. So and he runs with the 2s. So I mean, they could just end up keeping all of them, to be honest, because you and I all know the corner spot It's gonna
Yeah.
be what it is.
And what kind of stinks about it too is that like none of them could really play safety too. Like Michael Carter II can kind of do a little bit of both, but he's a nickel.
Right.
Like he's not playing on the outside, so he's not even really in that conversation. So it kind of stinks that they're carrying all these cornerbacks, and none of them can actually transition to the safety spot if needed.
Let's talk about Michael Carter for a second, though, because DJ, we always joke that we're the Michael Carter II show. And it looked like Javelin Guidry was getting the upper hand through the middle of camp. He played really well in the first game against the Giants. But from all reports, Michael Carter had a great day yesterday against Philly in joint practice. He was really good in 9 or 10 pass coverage reps against Green Bay. So do you think he's kind of evening up the ledger there?
Yeah, no, that's so, coaches always say it's all about competition. Most of that's BS. That's been the one competition that's like, yeah, that's a legitimate competition. Each practice, for the most part, it'll be, let's say it's Monday, Michael Carter gets the first team reps. Tuesday, Javelin Guidry. Wednesday, Michael Carter. Thursday, Javelin Guidry. Friday, Michael Carter II. You know what I'm saying? It's been like that higher training camp. So, yeah, I think Javelin had like a little edge, but Michael Carter's right there. So,
am I crazy to think that they actually might be solid at nickel this year? I mean, they lost Brian Poole, who was pretty good for them, and Guidry, he played well in his limited snaps.
They'll be solid. They'll be solid. Yeah, I won't have to worry too much. I don't think there'll be somebody that teams like game plan to pick on because they're gonna be too big trying to pick on Bryson Hall. Bryson Bless. So that you know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be too busy trying to do that. I do want to see. Let me think of the schedule in my head for a quick second. I do want to see week 3
against Denver.
Well, I mean, whenever they go against like an actual like slot receiver, so maybe the Miami game when Jalen Waddle was in the slot. So I want to see that matchup. But no, they've been rock solid throughout the entirety of camp. Like there's never ever been like a moment where it's like, oh, they gave up this big play, Like they've given up the least amount of plays out of like those 3 corner spots. I mean, there's always been plays where it's like, oh, Bryce gave up this play, or because they attacked Bryce yesterday, and he got some PIs, which allowed the during the 2-minute drill, which allowed the Eagles to be able to score on like a quick pick route, and then obviously today, Bless got scored on. So and then last week. Man, let's say you didn't know who Devontae Adams was, you just knew the name. You didn't know who MVS was, you just knew the name. You would have thought last week MVS was Devontae Adams. And Devontae Adams
really?
was MVS. Yes.
Oh, man.
MVS was having himself a ball. But yeah, so those two have been solid. I'll give them their credit.
Should we finish on some week 1 predictions, Clay? Maybe not yours and I, because we can touch on that a little deeper. But DJ, this is probably the last time we speak to you before week 1. Now that you've seen every single training camp practice, you've seen 2 of the 3 preseason games. Do you think the Jets can beat the Panthers on the road? Where are you leaning without giving away too much?
Oh, can they? Of course. If they can. Okay. So this is my issue. My issue is which D-line, again, with that game, I can let y'all know right now. It's going to come down to which D-line causes havoc, the most havoc.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one is going to cause the most havoc. Like, before Carl Lawson, I was like, yeah, the Panthers O-line is gonna go batshit crazy on the Panthers O-line. Just D-line. But, I'm trying to just figure out, like, that. Like, I'm stuck, man. I'm stuck there. Like, I don't know. Cause that's all it's gonna come down to. Because if the Jets can block up the Jets, not the Jets. Yeah, if the Jets can block up the Panthers D-line, they'll be fine. Because they'll be able to run the ball, play action, they'll be able to be efficient throughout the entire day. But if they can't, then you're putting Zach in his first ever NFL game in a lot of 3rd and longs, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So that's not really ideal. Then, flip side, you got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, if he's under pressure, he's going to fold like a chair. So,
and Quinn Williams is going against Pat Elflein, too.
I can't wait for that.
That's a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, like the Jets still have, even without Carl Lawson, they still have some favorable matchups. So, cause my only concern is, so like I know if the Jets, let's say the Panthers can't get that much pressure, I know they can still be in the game. If the Jets can't get pressure, they won't be in the game because Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore against, on the perimeter against the Jets secondary
McCaffrey. Yeah.
Ugly. So, so the way I'm leaning, obviously, my when the schedule came out, I gave y'all that win. Right now, I'm a coin flip. I gave y'all that win. Yep. Now I'm a coin flip with the Carl Lawson injury. So
that's fair. I'm going to take the Jets at the points, though. The Jets have I think they're -5.5 here in Australia, so I'll take the Jets at the points. I think that's a pretty good bet. I think if you're giving them nearly a touchdown.
Oh, you mean the plus?
No, that's right. Plus, sorry, +5.
I'll take.
Sorry, Australia is not that crazy. Don't worry, we know what's going on. I'll take the points, though. I think if you're giving me nearly a touchdown, I'll take it, even though they're playing on the road. I think they're a similar roster. One other matchup, we might not see it, but maybe in some 12 and 21 personnel packages, you might see it, is Elijah Moore on Horn. On JC Horn. We saw that one in college last year. Look, obviously, he may see more time on Corey Davis. Depends. Obviously, if the Jets are only playing 2 wide receiver sets, Horn's going to have to play on the outside against Moore. So that's a way to frame that matchup. So he really struggled in that matchup. I think that was the one where Lane Kiffin threw the clipboard in that game. So maybe something else to watch as well. But look, I think you hit the nail on the head, DJ. This was one where I felt better about the Jets before the Lawson injury, and now it's really a toss of a coin.
Yep, completely agree.
Clay, you got anything you want to finish on today?
Actually, I just have one more question for you, DJ. Can you kind of narrow down who's going to be in that tight end room? I know everyone's kind of freaking out because I know Croft had 2 touchdowns, but like the fact that verified people on Twitter are saying Chris Herndon's not making the roster because he wasn't getting first team snaps. Oh, what? Not one. He was getting first team snaps. He just wasn't the receiver, I guess, for his targets. But I mean, he's gonna make the roster. But like, can you kind of narrow down who else is gonna make the roster as a tight end?
Herndon, Croft, Griffin's a little bit hurt, and Trey Westcott. So it just comes down to do they want to put Kenny on the roster? Daniel Brown is not gonna make the team.
I haven't heard his name once this entire summer.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, it's just gonna come down to it's gonna come down to do they want to put Kenny on the active roster? Because I mean, they might be able to put him on practice squad.
Yeah,
they might be able to. I think he would clear waivers, to be honest. Because he's not like, if you watch his college film, most of his production was like, we say like things get schemed up and people produce like because of the scheme. He was like, most of the production was literally because of the scheme. So I don't know if people are going to be like jumping to claim Kenny. So I think Kenny will be on an NFL team regardless, though. So it just comes out, do they want to put him on roster or no?
Yeah. That Alabama game.
Those 4 they'll be there.
The Alabama game just hit everything you were talking about. He was just schemed wide open down the seam 3 or 4 times. He had a switch release on the sideline. He ran with Elijah Moore where he was wide open. That was pretty comical. And look, the Jets are going to do that to an extent, but I don't know if Kenny Yeboah is a guy that's going to get open and win in the NFL. So time will tell what they do there. Guys, just want to say a big thank you to DJ for jumping on, taking some time out of your night. Really appreciate it, man, as always. Guys, make sure you're following DJ on Twitter, all of his work with the New York Daily News. We really appreciate everything you're doing for the Jets beat, DJ, so keep it up, man. Have you got anything coming up story-wise, any profiles? What's coming up before we get into the season?
Yeah, so trying to get a profile or like a Q&A with Corey. I might try to do some on CJ Mosley. Not too sure with CJ, but I'm working to do like a Q&A with Corey. But again, I think sometime this week I'm going to do a preview for like realistic expectation for Zach Wilson. So I'm going to dive into obviously the schedule, the defenses that they're going to face. I'm going to dive into quarterbacks their first year in the West Coast offense. I'm going to dive into rookies. So I'm going to just try to tie all of that together and, just do that because, one, obviously nobody's done that yet. And, just to give, like, a realistic expectations, obviously I'm not going to say you got to throw for 4,000 yards. That's stupid or
Yeah.
throw for 30 touchdowns. That's dumb because even if he does that, that's great. But I don't need to set the bar that high. So if he doesn't reach that, now people think he's a bum. So
yeah.
Make sure you keep an eye out for GJ's stuff, guys, and make sure you check out what we're doing over here with U Stadium and with Play Like a Jet. Follow U Stadium on Twitter, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us as well. Want to say thank you for checking us out again. Play Like a Jet Live will be 8:15 every single Wednesday. Thanks again to DJ. Make sure you do everything you can to support us, whether it be super stickers, donations, and as I said, making sure you subscribe to the YouTubes. That's it for Play Like a Jet today. Appreciate you being with us. Thanks to DJ, and we'll see you next week.